Hello, everyone. We are back. Oh my goodness. What an amazing day. Like, what an amazing 24 hours, but what an amazing day. I spoke yesterday on a panel with the Los Angeles Tribune, and I got a phone call this morning that they needed Nicole Kelly and I to come back. And so while we came back, I think that is my friend Elizabeth. I'm adding her. Sending you an invite, Elizabeth. As I have all these interviews planned today to come into this group and really help, guess what? They called and needed me, so I had to bump some stuff around, and it's perfect. It is so perfect. Oh my goodness, Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today. But even more than that, thank you for saying yes and for trusting in me when I made the offer to join and to apply to be part of the Visibility Challenge. I just love and adore you so much.
Oh my goodness, Debbie, it's my pleasure. And thank you so much for providing a path and a process for all of us. Super helpful.
Yeah. So we are here inside of this brand new community that we've created specifically for this as a platform in order to help others with extraordinary stories be able to tell their story. It's a platform in which they can use to be highlighted and celebrated. And for those that maybe aren't ready to shine quite as brightly as us as leaders, that they have also a platform to be inspired and to be in spirit with all of those that have gone through that journey of self-discovery and shedding some of the hardships and the beliefs in order to come out into the light. So let's talk a little bit about that, because I know that you have a unique audience that may or may not ever want to be on a podcast or, a speaking.
Well, I'll say a little bit about my own journey to finding my voice. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. And could you just tell a little bit about your company name and such first, and then go into that? Sorry about that.
Sure, yeah. My name's Elizabeth Kipp, and my company is Elizabeth Kipp Stress Management, LLC. I'm a stress management and a historical trauma specialist, addiction recovery coach, and ancestral clearing practitioner. I also teach yoga and meditation as part of those. Sounds like a lot of different things that I do, but they're all under stress management. So my thing around my voice was, as a child, I was told to sit down and be quiet. Nobody wants to hear what you have to say. Or I ask you a question, I want you to answer me. and I better get the right answer. So that's interesting. There's a lot of lack of safety around that, a lot of threatening. I better do it right or else kind of stuff. And so it took me some work to work through that, to be able to get up on a stage and not just stand and give a speech or a talk, but do it without my voice shaking. And it's okay if your voice shakes, because that's part of the process, right? That's part of the process. So it took me a journey to get from the really cognitive dissonance and the tension in the body, and the worry in the mind around just being authentic. You can't actually be authentic when you're guarding yourself, worried about protecting yourself. You just can't do that, right? And my community are people that are trying to find ease and peace in their life through managing their stress well. A lot of them have chronic pain or are in recovery from chronic pain. And what is that, right? So chronic pain is any pain that's felt 15 days out of 30 for 3 months or more. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial. The brain can't tell the difference between one kind of pain and another. So a broken bone, the brain can't tell the difference between a broken bone and a broken heart. So chronic pain is, and what happens in the brain, we process information differently. We have a very negative spin on things more than usual. There's chaos in the brain. And there's this hypervigilance where we're always looking for, where's the threat? Where's the threat? Where's the threat? Well, you can't connect and protect at the same time. The nervous system
Wow.
isn't actually made for that, right?
Wow. And I mean, it's so overloaded, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you're sharing your audience and who they are and some of the things that they're going through. It really helps us understand, like, oh, that's a completely different thing than like somebody that says, I want to be a speaker and I want to stand on stage, which is often what we think about when we ask people to be visible. Oh, like, what does that mean? Where we have talked, it's being visible is actually like showing up for yourself and your nervous system being okay with it.
Mhm.
Because for people like us that have gone through some trauma, there's a lot of like, this is not safe, this is going to hurt, this is not what I am here to do. And so can you take us a little bit down that journey of you yourself and what you went through in order to, why do you teach this and support this group now?
Well, I love the question. That's so important. There's a couple things there. One is understanding that we experience trauma in unsafe relationship. So we heal in safe relationship. So that's why a safe space is so important for everyone, especially for my group who are healing. Um, another part of that is actually owning our experience. So one of the most outrageous and empowering questions I was ever asked as a chronic pain sufferer was, Elizabeth, what are you doing to contribute to your pain? And I was outraged. This was a doctor that said this to me, and I was outraged because I was like, dude, I didn't say it, I thought it, it's doing it to me, right? And I kind of did a double take when I was like, well, it's doing it to me. How could you say that, right? And we were in a room, I was in a room full of chronic pain sufferers. And I thought, wait a minute. I did a double take because I said, wait a minute. He just, by the question, what are you doing to contribute to your pain, made the suggestion and the opening that I might actually have some power in this equation with my pain. And and he then got my attention. So I began to ask, and that was the inquiry with this doctor. He was amazing. Um, he began to ask us and help us to kind of look within to see how we were contributing to our own pain experience. And that doesn't mean that I didn't get traumatized. It doesn't mean I didn't have a reaction to trauma. It means that whatever happened to me, now I'm responsible for my healing. And so taking my power back and saying, I actually have power in this equation, right? So very important. So this is the journey that all of us are on, and depending on where we are in our journey, some of us are a little farther on the path than others.
Yeah. And it's such a pivotal point when we can get to that place, because I can remember a time where I was in a lot of physical pain. My body had shut down. I was in neck brace. Doctors couldn't figure it out. I didn't even know what emotional pain was. So how would I even go looking there to see if it was that? And what my logical brain, the part of my brain that was still being used, because now remember that the fight or flight was like engaged at all time, brake on,
Mhm.
brake, brake and gas on at all times. So my logical brain was used to getting me out of situations. It's like, okay, do this, do that. Well, I was exhausted. I was in this place where it was like, I can't figure it out. What is going on? My body was shutting down. Nobody was giving me the answers. And because of that, I need to figure it out. I have to find the answers. I was actually still in victim mode and I didn't know that. Like I would
Mhm.
have said, no, I'm in survivor mode. Like I'm a survivor, I'm a thriver, I can do this. But that was me locked into this old habit and pattern that had kept me safe to that point. But it was time to shift. And when everything shifted, that there was a curiosity of what can I do about this, then I started geeking out and like finding people like you and all the other people that do this. But we had to go through some of this ourselves first. Do you believe that too?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And we get into habit. We get traumatized that the nervous system has a kind of baked in response that we have predictable responses to trauma. And you chose one and I chose one. Everybody has the ones that they choose. They're all predictable. And the question is, we keep using it because it worked for us once. And so if it worked, and it works so beautifully, right? So we use it again, and we use it again, and we use it again, and we use it again. And now it's a habit. And we have beliefs around that habit. So there's a whole network in the brain that's get built around this. And every time we fire that network, it grows stronger. The network is stronger, and we default to it faster. So now, look at it as a physics problem. A habit is an object in motion. And an object in motion stays in motion until it's acted on by an equal or opposite force. So what is that equal or opposite force in this case? Choice. Understanding that we actually have a choice in our experience, right? But we really often need to have someone else come in and help us co-regulate to actually get us to the point where we become aware. And that was what this doctor did for me.
Yeah.
He was like, he created a safe space where I was actually able to hear that question and get the message.
Yeah. And it's so easy to see from the outside looking in, or even you looking backwards, that that's exactly what happened. But at the time, it's almost like a swirl of like, what? And you kind of gotta come back out the other side. And that is where the choice and the empowerment really comes in. So I love that you know your clients, your audience, your potential clients so well, and you're very protective over them. I've heard you before in group sessions with that we've done where it's like, my audience couldn't handle that stimulation. I have to do things differently. I have to think differently. I have to approach it differently. And I love that so much, because I think that when somebody obsesses about their audience so much and knows their desires, because the desire can be there and still it's not happening because there was something in the middle, there was a gap in the middle. And so you really take care of your people that well. So when I have somebody that I know that has, chronic pain or just even that nervous system that's all wound up, I'm definitely sending them to you, because I can trust you so much that you're going to take as great a care for my potential clients, my friends, my family, as I would. And that means everything to me.
Well, thank you so much, Debbie. I appreciate the confidence. So many of us in this group have have learned this wisdom through what I call the school of hard knocks, and because we went through it that way, we're ready, willing, and able to show up for others, to hopefully spare them some of those harder knocks. Maybe there's I didn't even know there were tools. I got by on my wits until I found out they were tools, and I'm like, what? There's tools? This is amazing.
I remember thinking the same way. And it's like, when people now, we talk about it, well, being the bridge for others, having the answers from life's experiences and helping people down the road quicker, faster, easier. And I'm like, so who was the person for me? Because I definitely, went through it the hard way. And I want to ask you, because you're very spiritual and very intuitive as well, is a question that comes to my mind often is it because the world's changing? Like, were there people in my world that could have helped me, but maybe were unaware themselves that they could help? Or was I just so blind? Because, yeah.
Well, I, I, I don't really know how to answer that question because we live in the now.
Mm,
And so, my general operating principle is everybody's operating with doing the best they can with the information they have at hand and the consciousness that they have at the time. So, it happened the way it happened, and everything changes except I wrote a whole blog about this today. Everything changes except our awareness and the creative edge of evolution. So things are constantly changing. You are changing before our eyes, literally. Like, so am I. We're all changing. So, the question is, what am I going to do now? Am I going to put the old programming under, reconstruction? Am I going to continue to reference that? Or is the choice I'm making in this moment going to help evolve me into something, where I have more peace and more ease and I can be of more use to people?
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope everybody witnessed what just happened there. My logical brain had a question. I spoke it out loud, and Elizabeth totally knew that's not the answer that my soul was searching for, that she needed to actually shift me back into the truth. And so I love that. And you have such a great ability not only to do that with others, but I wanted to go back to that you said, I wrote a blog about it today. Now, all the women in here are extraordinary. All of the women in here bring their own gifts, their talents, and some have not witnessed or recognized that they are gifts and talents yet. So we have all levels and all stages of extraordinary women doing extraordinary things. But Elizabeth, you do write so beautifully, and the poetry that you do, and all of the other stuff. And I wonder if that creative process has been part of your healing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm so glad you asked about that because I'm actually kind of getting. I developed a course on journaling for trauma recovery, and I that's going to be part of this offering here. And the reason that was so powerful for me, in really when I began all the healing from the chronic pain and really was able to kind of get honest with myself and become visible to me, was I had to learn to. It was safer for me not to speak it out, but to write it. And I learned one process from a beautiful person who said, write whatever you're feeling, and it's okay if you want to go out and scratch it out again, right? So like there were these safety, lots kind of ways to stay safe even in that space where I could come out as I was ready, become visible to myself as I was ready, and heal at the rate that I was ready. And one of the things that I think that I learned the hard way again, and that I want everybody to really take in, is that we heal at the rate that we heal. And my attitude about how fast or slow I'm healing is not going to do anything but get in the way of my healing. So there's a massive amount of patience in this process, but understanding that grace is always there with us. We're never alone. Yeah.
Wow. Grace, surrender, and a deeper allowing. So I think that for us that have kind of gone through this place that felt very unsafe, and as we tiptoe into safety and we try out things, we're like, okay, it's good now. I'm good. And then you're being invited into a deeper level of yourself and a deeper understanding. And so then it's like, oh, so I love that your mentor allowed you that space and that permission to do it in your own way, and that it was perfect. Because I think that that often is why somebody ends up being a perfectionist too. I mean, this is just my belief, is that my perfectionism came from I need to do it right. I need to
Mhm.
do it perfect. I need to do it the safe way, because being wrong did not work very well for me. And
Mhm.
so there was a lot of that. And I love that you brought up the journaling prompts. And also, I'd love to bring up some of the courses and the workshops that you do. You do them all over, and you have a beautiful community and a beautiful circle of people. And then you also do them inside of the Wellness for All program that is for by donation. And
Mhm.
so, do you want to speak about some of your offers?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, within the wellness universe, there's a program called the Wellness for All, which is a donation, as Debbie said, a donation on a donation basis. And I offer it's a 12 module course. Each module is about an hour. Um, and it's one's on chronic pain based on my book, The Way Through Chronic Pain, Tools to Reclaim Your Healing Power. And the other one is on called Heal Here Now, um, uh, uh, mindfulness and trauma recovery, and which is still around healing chronic pain, but it's more trauma oriented. It's different material.
Yep.
And then I have a course with the Brave Healer Transformation School, which is a whole nother world. I'm in all kinds of communities, called Foundations of Trauma Recovery, which is the meat and the bones and the practice. It's an 18 module course. There's 30 minutes in each module. 6 of the modules are yoga practices that are trauma informed. They're very specific, targeted to the nervous system. They help me. Like, I don't teach anything that I didn't already try out and test that it
Try out,
works.
test, and even tweak, right?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely. Tweak. Yeah, absolutely. Where needed. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I
So,
think that that's the benefit to people that have really gone through something, is that as you logically think something's going to work, as you're like, okay, this is what my audience needs, this is what I'm going to create. When you do it and you see, oh, there's just a little bit of fine tuning here, is there's a tweaking, because
mhm,
you care so much, you know your audience, you're like, that just didn't land the way I wanted it to. And so I've witnessed this in you and many of the instructors over at the Wellness Universe. It's the depth of caring and the connection to your audience that really makes you such beautiful
mhm.
speakers and instructors.
Well, I appreciate that. I will add that I also, a big part of my business is ancestral clearing that acknowledges the ancestral burden that we carry, and it really can weigh on us and it's kind of like a veil. The clouds are lenses, and ancestral clearing is a way to help people release that and clear that, and it's a big part of stress management. I just can't say enough about that work. I don't have a course on it, but I offer individual sessions like all the time, and I offer online groups as well, sometimes live, depending on what's happening in Kansas City. Um, but I also do that, yeah.
Wow.
And I have noticed that the other instructors at the Wellness Universe, they really know their field, and take they take I just was they take such care creating curating would be a better word. Really curating their material to kind of fit the space. So I just got off a discussion with someone new at the Wellness Universe that's starting Wellness for All, and we had a big discussion about how she was going to do that, and it was beautiful to see how careful she was being, how considerate, right? Yeah.
Wow. Again, thank you for bringing that up. It's the level in which we care for our audience, our people, our potential clients, somebody that could find it. We don't even have a relationship with, but they found it through a friend of a friend.
Mm-hmm.
We want everybody to feel like they are totally cared for and that this material was made specifically for
Mm-hmm.
them. and that if it wasn't, that they need something more, such as that ancestral healing, that clearing, that they can reach out. That's another thing, is this relationship and this communication that's always encouraged there.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm so excited about this space, and all the people coming in. I can't wait to meet everybody and hear their stories and learn what they do, and I just can't thank you enough for creating all this, Debbie, and being such a leader for us.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I'm just thrilled to be doing this with you. So one last question.
Mhm.
You have people either out there in your world, or maybe they hear you. We've done podcasts before. Maybe they hear you somewhere out there in the real world, and they're like, I wonder if I should come into this Be Extraordinary Women's Network. Like, what is it for me? Why would I want to come in? What would you say to them, to be invitational?
I would say it's an opportunity for you to learn. If you're just wanting to watch, it's an opportunity to learn the path that other women are taking on their journey. We're all on the same path. We're just on different parts of it. And also, your voice, the person that's looking at the Be Extraordinary Network, your voice is just as important as any of the rest of ours. So we need your voice to the extent that you can share it with us. We need it because you lift yourself by sharing your voice, and you lift all of us.
Wow. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I couldn't have said it better. And the only thing that I will add to this conversation, if anybody is hearing it, is that it is for everyone. I really, the whole premise behind this is to provide a platform for women to see other women shine, to recognize how extraordinary you truly are, and the things that you've gone through to get you to the place that you have a workshop, a course, a voice, a message, that all of that happened to get to this place right now where we can truly make a difference in the world.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Debbie. And thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone, for watching and listening.